talking about the argument from design. Specifically, the claim that we can look at the universe all around us and see evidence that it was designed by an intelligent mind. In other words, by God. Over the past few months, we've looked out at the vast universe and seen how inconceivably improbable it is that the universe should have all the right laws and constants to support life. We also talked about how even if we somehow overcame those odds, and we had a universe that was in principle capable of supporting life, there are so many factors that need to come together within that universe that it is still overwhelmingly improbable that life would actually be found anywhere. Now we're going to take a decidedly smaller turn and look inside the cell, and we're going to ask whether biology shows any signs of design. But first, I want to address a common objection to biological arguments. Many skeptics object to the design argument, especially in the realm of biology, as unscientific. Science, according to these skeptics, requires us to come up with hypotheses that we can test in the laboratory and repeat. A truly scientific explanation, allegedly, must be one that we can use experiments to test. The arguments for design, supposedly, are not testable in this way, and therefore are not truly scientific. The problem is, this is just a false statement. Science isn't limited to hypotheses that can be tested in a lab. This gets into a distinction that Norman Geisler and Kirby Anderson classify as operation science versus origin science. Some scientific questions concern the operation of the universe. If scientists are studying chemical reactions, for example, they can set up an experiment and observe what happens. They're using evidence and experiments to discover how the universe operates. Based on the assumption that we live in an orderly universe, knowing how it operates in the present allows us to make reasonable predictions about how it will behave in the future. That's operation science. But other scientific questions are about origins. By definition, they are one-time events that aren't repeatable. This is the type of investigation used by archaeologists or criminal forensic scientists. Think about what a crime lab does. They aren't performing experiments to try and predict how things will behave in the future. They're looking at present evidence to infer what most likely happened in the past. That's origin science. The question of design is one of origin science. We're asking about the origin of the universe, or the origin of life. To object that the design arguments aren't subject to the same type of hypothesis and laboratory testing that we see in operation science is to commit a logical fallacy called a category error. This happens when you assign a quality to something of one category that really only belongs to something of another category. If we were talking about something that fell under operation science, then the skeptic's objection would be an appropriate one to raise. But because we're not, because we're exploring questions of origin science, the objection quite literally doesn't make sense. It's the logical equivalent of objecting to the existence of an idea, because we can't point to a physical location where that idea resides. Ideas don't have physical locations, only physical objects do. Origin science isn't subject to this type of predictive experimentation. Only operation science is. Having cleared up that distinction, next week we're going to look inside the cell and ask if it shows signs of an intelligent designer having been behind its origin. See you then. God bless.